Hello, lovelies. It's Hila here, Saturday Night Stitch, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. It's been a while, but I'm happy to say that I'm back to regular programming. And if you're patient with me, I will just do a very sort of chatty video for today, since it's the first sort of face-to-face video that I've been able to get done this year so far. And I will get into some sewing stuff very soon. So it's been a while since I was able to do any face-to-face videos, and it's just been so incredibly hectic for me. But one of the things was that the main thing that had been a huge focus for me the last 12 months was getting my daughters prepared for what's called an 11 plus test here in England. So in England, we've got state school systems, and then we've got what are called grammar schools. And in order for you to get into a grammar school, it's a selective school, and they base it on an entrance exam called an 11 plus. And with the two, with the twins, it was double the work of doing the prep tests and just getting them used to an exam environment. They had to sit 3 papers. One is a 1 hour paper on maths, 1 hour paper on English comprehension, and then a 45-minute test on creative writing. And they do that all in one day. They do an assessment day, and then there's a second stage to it, which is interviews. And so that was something that I was so clearly focused on, because for me, education is very, very important, and it has been my goal to make sure that I can get my children into the best educational place that they can get into, because I love learning. I'm big into education, and it's just something that was so drilled into me by my parents. Education is so important. So that was the huge priority for me over the last 12 months, which meant that everything else was taking a backseat, and rightly so. But we got the news, they did the test and they did get through, which was a wonderful and a huge relief for me and for the whole family as well. So it sort of feels like I can finally get back into the things that I normally would be getting into, i.e. doing a lot of sewing, because the prep work had to be done mostly during the weekends, and usually weekends is my peak sewing time. My sewing sort of fell to the wayside, but that's okay. That's life. You've got priorities, you've got plates that you're spinning or bowls that you're juggling, and at some points you gotta ignore some of the bowls, you gotta let some of those plates drop, and you focus on what is important. And that's what I was doing. And so it's been really great, and the girls are so excited to be going into high school, which starts in September. And I cannot believe that my daughters, because they're the last ones of my 5, so they're number 4 and number 5 because they're twins, are starting high school in September, and that's just going to be such a huge change. So a lot of stuff has been going on in my home, and that's part of the reason why. So really good stuff, really wonderful things happening. So that's been that. So now then, this big thing happened, and now I suddenly have all this time. My weekends are back because I no longer have to do the all the time that was taken up with doing the individual tutoring with the girls. I suddenly was like, okay, what do I do? I've got all this fabric that I need to get through, because I've decided that I'm not going to be a fabric collector. I want to be a fabric user. And that's something that's taken a while for me to get to that sort of realization, because I'd been thinking a lot about my journey in terms of sartorial choices and where I want to go with my wardrobe, and how I've been embracing a more capsule based wardrobe, embracing separates as well. So that's meant some changes in terms of what I had already built up, as well as what I plan to do going forward. So consequently, well, when I started sewing, I was in my 30s, I would say my early 30s. And I feel that I've become such a different person now that I will be turning 45 this year. I'm no longer have the exact same sort of tastes, if I want to call it that, although looking back on it, I'm not necessarily sure that I would say I had any taste. I just was basically driven by, oh, do I like the flowers, I like the color, and I just pick without too much discernment to it. All I liked was just really bright and floral and just mixing it in. So there was a lot of a mismatch. So if looking through my wardrobe of things that I have made before, it's just all over the place. And I've been doing a lot of work in terms of just trying to be more cohesive. And it works a lot better. And at first, when I started delving into the world of wardrobe planning, color analysis, I was so resistant to it when initially I discovered this world, because I thought it would be too restrictive and it wouldn't be fun. But actually, it is a lot more fun to work within a framework, within a structure. I'm converted basically, and now everybody, I'm like, have you had your colors done? Get your colors done, look into this and what have you, because it's not actually restrictive. There's a lot more freedom for you to play within a framework. So bearing that in mind, all this, I want to say growth, sartorial growth, if that's the thing, it's meant that quite a lot of my wardrobe items, especially the ones that I have made painstakingly over the years, are no longer suitable. It was very easy for me to get rid of the shop bought items that were no longer in my colors, but it was really hard for me to get rid of anything that I had actually made. And in fact, later on, I'm going to show you an example of something that I have to say goodbye to. So I've been doing that. So it was like, okay, so I've got this free time now. Am I just going to dive back into sewing? Or am I going to dive into, first of all, clearing out the fabrics so that I've only got fabrics that are going to fit into capsules that I create, that are going to fit into something, rather than just having these stacks and stacks and stacks of fabric, which get to a point where they became overwhelming. So I get into that. Or do I get back into restoring vintage sewing machines? Because I still love my vintage sewing machines, and I've got some really, really beautiful ones that I've added to my collection. Or do I work on my whips? Or do I, and it just became like, oh my days, there's just so much to do. So then I had been thinking about, okay, I need to slow down, take a deep breath, and let's just figure this out. It's okay. It's okay. But that's the nature. I hope somebody can relate to this, but that's the nature sometimes of just being like somebody who's on the go, 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 and you have a lot of things that you want to do. So needless to say, I'm now at this point where I've sort of come up with a little bit of a plan that has a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that over there, and hopefully it will make sense. So in the first place, with the sewing, I decided that I wasn't going to do any analysis paralysis. I am just going to get back to allocating myself 1 hour of sewing each weekend. And it's a focused hour, no audiobook listening, not trying to multitask or anything like that. Just 1 hour of sewing. And that's what I've been doing. And so I've been working on this dress from, let's see if I can bring this out for you. It's from 9/2015. It's a really gorgeous, gorgeous dress number 101. I've wanted to make this for ages, and I traced this pattern out probably about 8 or 9 years ago, and I finally got around to making it. So it's this one here. If I can get that to focus, but never mind. And I have made it. It's got the lovely bodice that's coming along, and the sleeve. Oh, sorry. I've got the sleeve here, which I've nearly finished. So this is one of the sleeves. It is going to be gorgeous. It is in an Ecovera twill, and it's coming along really fast because I'm pretty fast at sewing. If I'm doing focused sewing, that works really well. So that's one aspect of it done. So that took off the mental stress that I was giving myself, self-given mental stress of, oh, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? And so, yeah, and that felt really good. I had a really wonderful sense of peace when I made that decision that, you know what, no matter what else needs to be decluttered, sorted, restored, or whatever, we're going to do 1 hour of sewing. Just that, 1 hour of sewing. And so that's what I've been doing, and that's been awesome. So on Saturdays, I'm doing my 1 hour of sewing, because the name of my channel, Saturday Night Stitch, it started because Saturday night was the only night that I was getting basically off to just do whatever I wanted to do when my babies were super, super small. And my husband was like, what can I do for you? How can I help you? I want you to have some time to yourself. But obviously, he could only do weekends because he works during the week. And so that's how I started stitching on a Saturday night. So it sort of feels like, oh, I'm getting back to that, except for I'm not doing it at night. I'm doing it in the afternoon. My stitching time is between 3 and 4 because there's guitar lessons and piano lessons and other stuff as well. But it's still the same principle. So that's that. So that felt really good. And then with regards to the fabrics, to sort of whittling through the fabric collection, I have made many strides over the last 12 months. So even though I wasn't able to sew, one of the things that I did manage to do was just to slowly go through fabric bits by bits. And I was being quite ruthless with clearing out the things that just did not fit with me anymore. So some of the things were easy to get rid of because it was just simply, if it's got yellow or warmth in it, you're gone. You're not staying in, because I'm a cool undertone. I need to have cool undertones, and so if it's got that, it was gone. And then there were some fabrics that I absolutely really loved, but they're not in my colors, and I couldn't bear to throw them out. So I was trying to follow the spark joy principle, but there were some things that just weren't working with that. So anyway, so some of them I've put them to the side, and then I'm still sort of going through that process. So over the last 12 months, I have gotten rid of about 6 gigantic 80-liter tubs of fabric. That's a lot of fabric. Some of it I've donated to textile departments at high schools. Some of it I've donated to charity shops, and some of it I sent off to an auction house where a tub of 80 liters of wool fabrics, somebody got them at a bargain price of 20 quid. And it felt so good. It felt so good to be able to just mindfully declutter the fabric collection like that. I would love to say that after getting rid of so many big tubs of fabric, that I still had gotten rid of it all, but no. I had a fabric buying problem, is what I've concluded, because there is still so much fabric still left to go through, but it is getting closer and closer and closer to something that is more cohesive and coherent for the sort of wardrobe that I want to create. And I'm hoping that 2025, by the end of 2025, I should be down. I'm hoping to just be down to 4 tubs, and then that's it. And then the idea is to, instead of becoming a fabric collector, I become a fabric wearer. And I see fabric, I can turn it into something that I love, and I can wear it. And again, that felt really good. It took me a while to get to that point, but it felt really quite good to get to that point where I'm sort of like, okay, no, this is good. So that dealt with that. And then I had the whips, the works in progress, the box of doom, the box of unfinished projects. I cut out the fabric and then it was there. And some of the projects in there, lovelies, they have been there for nearly 10 years. It was so mortifyingly embarrassing when I started going through my whips. And again, I had to be ruthless. I had to be vicious. There was something there that was cut out in yellow, like a pastel yellow, lemon yellow sweatshirting fabric. It just had to go. And maybe I'm giving myself grace and sort of saying that maybe it's, even though I wasn't yet aware of colors, color analysis, maybe there was a part of me that just thought, this lemon yellow sweatshirting fabric probably doesn't look good on you. And that's why the project had languished in the bottom of the UFO box for nearly 10 years. So I got rid. Of some of them, and some of them were just styles that were probably too youthful for me, that I picked right at the beginning of my sewing journey. So I think one of them was this trench coat, but instead of it just being straight, it had all these rara sort of flounces on it, of which I don't do flounces like that anymore. And it was cut out in red gabardine, and so that just had to go. Some of the whip projects were very easy to get rid of because of the colors, and also because some of them just had so many pattern pieces to them. There's definitely been a shift in me towards more simpler styles with really high quality fabric, whereas before, when I started sewing, I did gravitate towards the more complex patterns, and that was in part to increase and improve my sewing skill. But I was using cheap quality fabrics, which is not, well, do you know what, we all live and we learn. And through that process, my sewing skill definitely improved to the point where I'm a very confident sewer. I can look at a pattern and I can know how to put something together. I very rarely have to look at instructions. So that's okay. It was something that I had to learn to get through. So I do have a lot of things that have got lovely complex details, but it's cheap fabric. But hey, it just means that in the future, once I've sorted through everything, I will be able to go and buy really nice, good quality fabrics, and I can play around with those complex patterns as and when. So that's what's been happening. So I'll probably do this as another video because I'm trying to keep this one short, but I'd really love to share. So I whittled it down to just this bag of whips, and these works in progress. All the colors are suited to me, and there are patterns and styles that I can see working within the core wardrobe capsules that I've been building. So I'm building them around summer, spring, autumn, winter. I'm lucky enough to live in a climate where we do experience, roughly speaking, all 4 seasons. So it is useful to have all of that stuff. But I'll definitely do a video showing the whips, of which I've decided that 2025 is the year that the whips get whipped. Is that a thing? It's the year that the whips get cut up, done, and I won't have any whips anymore. Of which the weird thing was, I met and chatted with, I think she was a fabric shop owner. Unfortunately, the fabric shop is closed now. And I basically commented to her and I said, "You must have such a huge fabric stash at home." And she said, "No, I don't." And I said, "Well, you must have a huge amount of whips then." And then she was like, "No, I don't." So she never had any fabric stash, and she never kept any whips, any works in progress, because she just said she'd buy the fabric, make something, and wear it. And I remember the first time that I heard somebody actually saying that they do that, thinking, wait, what? How does that work? But then actually it does work, because what I did then was I just thought, okay, I'm just going to pretend that my big box of works in progress, and it used to be a big box, by the way. And I was just like, okay, I'm just going to cover them over, and I'm going to pretend they don't exist, because I didn't want them to weigh me down. And going forward from that point that this idea was seeded into my brain, going forward, I'm only going to be working on one project at a time. I cut it out, I sew it, I finish it before I start another project. And that's what I've been doing basically for the last 4 or 5 years or so. That's been my sewing thing. I no longer have several projects on the go. I do one project, finish it, and then start on the other one. But I still had the old healer way of sewing, where I just be like, oh, today I'm going to cut out 10 items, like cut out. So I just been ignoring that, and that's how long some of these whips had been in there. But at least I've whittled it down to just this bag of, I think there's about 6 of them. So I'm excited to share, because somehow these ones have survived all of the evolving style changes and all of the shifts, mindset shifts, etc. So I'm quite excited about that. And once those are done this year, that's it. I will finally be like the wonderful role model seamstress who taught me this idea of you don't have to have works in progress, and you don't have to have a huge fabric collection. You can just go buy the fabric, make the item, and then you can wear it and enjoy the fabric. So that's that one. So that was, where are we on now? So that was the sewing, and then that was the fabric, and then that was the whips. So that was that one done. And then with the wardrobe, again, it's been slow going. So each time that I've been packing away my, whether that's the spring, the summer, or the winter, or the autumn wardrobe, I've been sort of ruthlessly going through, seeing if anything has become ratty, has become bubbly and unpleasant to wear. Because one, I'm the biggest offender when it comes to this, hanging on to clothes past their best buy date, just because I'm like, oh, I don't want to get rid of it, and then it will have, the armpit stains, or it will have the bobbling, or it will, all sorts of things that show wear and tear. And then every time I wear it, I'm just kind of like, I should dye it, or I should whatever. I'm trying to be a bit more ruthless with that. And so I've just been taking out things. And I've also been taking out anything that when I've worn it, I've thought, it just feels a little bit off. I've just been like, it's got to go, because there are actually clothes that when I put on, they just feel 100% right on me. And those are the ones that I've been focusing on having. And it's been nice building up for each season. I have been slowly, painfully slowly building up sort of like a core level of things that I always know if I just pull these, put them on, I look put together, and I want to look put together. So that's been really, really wonderful. But part of that, it has gotten to the point now where I've gotten rid of all of the shop bought things, as mentioned, but now it's the handmade things, the things that I painstakingly sewed at the beginning of my sewing journey, or at some point. And I now have to accept that I'm just not going to be able to wear them, because it's just gotten to that point where it just comes so naturally to me. I can't put on anything that doesn't suit my colors, and anything that doesn't suit me, the design lines, etc. So one of them, so for instance, this week, so I've been slowly doing this. I try and do about 2 a month or so. And I try and do like a proper, oh, thank you. You served me well. I learned a lot from you, but now you gotta go. So for instance, I've got this really lovely Sewaholic Granville shirt here. And I made it in a cotton. It's like a cotton poplin. And the details are so beautiful. And I did these, I don't know what they're called, snappers. And I had to shop around for ages to get matching ones. So they've got these. And then I actually went and I bought the snapper thing that makes these. And it's really, really pretty. Really pretty. But as you can tell, it's not my colors at all. It isn't my colors. And this was one of my best colors. Look at that color point over there. And so consequently, I did wear this a few times after I made it, but it was one of those that I would just wear around the house, and then that was it. And so this one has got to go. And with the handmade things, I do either of two things. I will donate to my local charity shop, but if some of them look in really good condition and I can put measurements down on them, I try and sell them on Vinted as a handmade. And I'll never get back the amount of money, say the fabric that cost or anything like that cost to make it, or in fact the time. But that's okay. It feels like, at least it's going to somebody who might see it and they'll be like, this is the perfect color season for me, and it's a perfect fit for me, and then it will suit. So that's, one that I'm sort of saying, oh, goodbye to, and we'll see if I'll be making any more Sewaholic Granville shirts, of which that was at one point my favorite shirt pattern. I must have made about 8 of those for myself. So that's fabulous. So that's the clothes bit, the sewing bit, the fabric bit, and the mindset bit. So it's a little, as I say, it's really quite chatty. And then on top of that as well, so these ones are the top tier concerns to do with what needs my time and effort and energy. And then the second tier one is something that I've been wanting to do for so long. I've been really wanting to redo my sewing studio. So I've been adding, instead of having posters, I'm just doing things like putting the posters into frames because I want it to be quite an inspirational space as well. I want it to be a space that every time I walk into, I'm revitalized, I'm excited to sew, and I just feel really good, like I'm a little seed of joyful creation, and the ground that is my room is just going to encourage that with, the water of, I don't know, the water of creativity and the sunlight of color, and, just ideas can come to life in this area. So that's what I've been working on as well, and trying to get the lighting in. But I get my husband to sort out all of the hardware stuff, so that's fine. So yeah, so as I said, a lot of exciting stuff, which is why I felt that the January issue of Burda, when it was saying make this your happy sewing year, I just thought, yeah, I am going to make this my happy sewing year. And I'm also excited because I'm working on a patrones pattern that I'm going to be sewing up, because I've decided that this is the year as well that I'm going to be more consistent with sewing with the patrones, because I think that they've just been hitting it out of the ballpark with their designs of late. And yeah, so let's dive into that. Thank you so much if you've watched until the end. I really, really do appreciate you watching 26 minutes of me just rambling and talking about sewing. But I love sewing so much, even all these years later, nearly 14, 15 years later, and I still love sewing, and I could easily talk about sewing for ages. So yeah, so I'll be doing a lot more sewing stuff in 2025, which is a big year for me because I'm turning 45, which I'm absolutely loving. I'm loving getting older because it's just so wonderful getting to know yourself better and just being more confident in yourself. So that's all, lovelies. Until I see you next time, happy sewing. I'll be seeing you very, very soon. Bye.